What's up, Witty? Y'all already know what it is. You tuned in to another episode of Everything Boxing. There you go, talking that boxing again. And yeah, when y'all come in the building, make sure that you hit that like button and make sure that you jump in the comment section. Let me know that you're in the building. What's up, Witty? Yes, sir. As y'all come in the building, make sure that you smash on that like button and let me know y'all in the building. Jump in the comment section. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's cook. Let's talk about it. You know, Edgar Robles, what's happening with it? What's good with you? Arturo Shotty, what's happening with it? Salute. John Kramer, what it do? Salute to you. Okay, yeah. I'll definitely check that out. I'll definitely check that out when I get a chance, man. Let me see. What is it on Instagram? Let me see. YouTube. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. And as y'all coming in, like I said, make sure that you smash the like button as you come in the building. You know what I'm saying? We're going to cook today. A lot of things going on, you know what I'm saying, that I want to address and talk about today. You know how we do. So you said it's on YouTube. Um, Let me see if I can find it real quick while I'm waiting for, while I'm waiting to get the show started for people to get in. Let's see. Let me make sure. Why do they have when I click on it, it says this content may be inappropriate? Damn, what are they talking about? That's weird. Yeah, I'll watch it, man. I'll watch it when I get done with the show. I'll go check it out. Definitely see what he's talking about. But I did read the title and it would have been ugly. You know what I'm saying? That shit would have been ugly if Errol Spence had fought Manny Pacquiao. I've been saying that. Christopher Russell, what's happening with it? He said Manny might be able to come back. I just don't want to see him get murked by Spence Jr. That's like I told y'all before, right? Manny Pacquiao in his prime and Errol Spence, that nigga with the shag Errol Spence at his best, Manny Pacquiao still he can't beat Errol Spence. Like that's what I mean. Stylistically, that's always been a bad stylistic matchup for Manny Pacquiao. Um, but whatever. We gonna talk about it. And Michael Pierce was happening with it. Salute to you. And y'all smash the like button as you come in the building. Like I said, Errol Spence at his best, that nigga with the shag, you know what I'm saying, that was walking through everybody, and Manny Pacquiao at his best, clean, both of them drug tested, you know what I'm saying, because we know there's a lot of rumors that Manny Pacquiao was on some shit, but I ain't gonna go into that. Clean Manny Pacquiao at his best and Errol Spence at his best. That's not a good stylistic matchup for Manny Pacquiao. Either way you want to, you know what I'm saying, you want to bring it. He's still, you know what I'm saying, it's still a bad fight for Manny Pacquiao. But, you know, we're going to get into that and a lot more going on. We're going to get into that and a lot more going on. What y'all think about Malik Scott saying that Deontay Wilder right now would knock out the old Deontay Wilder before in 2 rounds? What y'all think about that? That's, you know what I'm saying, that's a bold statement. Malik Scott says that the Deontay Wilder right now would stop the Deontay Wilder that y'all saw before in about 2 rounds. That's how much Malik Scott is saying that Deontay Wilder has elevated his game. They scared. These heavyweights ain't going to want to see Wilder now. If Wilder go in there and knock out Tyson Fury, right, like I think that he will do, it's going to get real ugly. It's going to get real ugly. Yeah, John Kramer, but I've been saying that. You know what I'm saying? That ain't really nothing new to me. I had been saying that. Blu-ray, I had been saying that, I thought that Errol Spence would, you know, go in there and just, it hurt him. You know what I'm saying? He'll hurt that man. Yeah, man, but you know Christopher Russell, you know how ignorant some of these fans will do. They'll just say anything, and most of the stuff that these fans, they're really not fans. They just haters of a certain fighter. So most of the stuff that these Errol Spence haters say, they don't believe it themselves. You dig what I'm saying? They don't really believe that shit themselves. Trying to compare him to Margarito. Come on now. They're not even close to being the same fighter. The only comparison you can make is both of them being big welterweights. Other than that, is no comparison. You know, with the hand wraps or without the hand wraps. DP Rocker, what's happening? Salute. Roxanne, salute. Bumpy Thompson in the building, salute. What's happening with it, fam? Chris Mitchell in the building. What's good with it? And y'all make sure, if you haven't smashed the like button, smash on the like button. Smash the like button. What y'all think about the fights this weekend? You know, we got some good fights this weekend. Let me pull up the fights this weekend, because I know we got the Tyron Woodley and we got Jake Paul. I ain't gonna lie. I'm kind of excited about that fight. I think that's gonna be a solid fight. I think that Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley fight this weekend is gonna be a solid fight. And we also got Ivan Baranchyk versus Montana Love. We got Ivan Baranchyk versus Montana Love. That's a solid fight. And if you're looking at the betting odds, right? They got Ivan Baranchyk almost a 2-1 favorite over Montana Love. Look at those betting odds. They got Ivan Baranchyk almost a 2-1 favorite over Montana Love. And you got to think, Montana Love is undefeated. He's been in some close fights, right? He got a lot of split decisions. You know what I'm saying? He got a few split decisions on his record. But Montana Love, he can fight. He can fight. Young cat out of Ohio. He going up against Ivan Baranchyk, who is dangerous. Ivan Baranchyk is a pressure fighter. He gonna put the pressure on you. He gonna try to knock you out. But the thing about Ivan Baranchyk, if y'all don't remember, Ivan Baranchyk, he was viciously knocked out in his last fight. You know what I'm saying? His last fight, Ivan Baranchyk fought Jose Zepeda. Jose Zepeda knocked Ivan Baranchyk out in vicious fashion. And remember, Ivan Baranchyk was out for probably like 10 minutes or more. And people was, you know what I'm saying? People were scared for his life. Let me pull him out. Let me pull him up real quick. Let me see when that fight was. That fight was probably about a year ago, I believe. Maybe. Yeah. So that fight was it was a year. Wait, no, hold on. That fight was almost a year ago. So that fight with Ivan Baranchyk and Jose Zepeda, when Ivan Baranchyk was viciously KO'd, and people feared for his life because he was out. Like it was one of the nastiest KOs I've ever seen, right? And that fight happened basically almost a year ago. In October, it'll be a year. So Ivan Baranchyk hadn't been in the ring since he fought Jose Zepeda. So, like I said, if you're a betting man, this is a fight that you want to pay close attention to, because Montana Love ain't no pushover. You know, he's young. He's 15-0 with one draw. And Ivan Baranchyk is, right, before you would want to favor Ivan Baranchyk. But Ivan Baranchyk ain't been in the ring in a long time. And one thing about Ivan Baranchyk, y'all, right? He has a difficult time with boxers that know how to box and move. And Montana Love is that type of fighter. He's slick. He know how to box and move. You know what I'm saying? He don't got devastating knockout power and none of that. But he can box and move. And we don't know what Ivan Baranchyk is going to look like, you know, come this weekend when they fight. We don't know. We don't know what he's going to look like because he hasn't been in the ring. And the last time we saw him in the ring, it was ugly for him. We don't know if Ivan Baranchyk is going to, you know, still suffering from that knockout, that vicious knockout that he that took place, right, on the hands of from the hands of Jose Zepeda. So yeah, that's a good fight on the undercard of the Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. That's a hell of a fight. Let me see what other fights is on this undercard of Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. So we got Ivan Baranchyk versus Montana Love. That's a hell of a fight. We also got, you know what? That's not on this card, but we got Daniel Dubois. He just fought. Daniel Dubois looked like he finna fight again. He not wasting no time getting back in the ring. So we got Daniel Dubois over there in the UK. He fighting this weekend. I don't know this dude is he's fighting. He obviously a nobody because Daniel Dubois is a negative 3,300, meaning that if you bet on fights, you got to put $3,300 down on Daniel Dubois just to win $100. So this guy that he's fighting is, I don't even know who he is. Joe Cosmano, never heard of him. Tommy Fury is fighting. That's Tyson Fury's brother, I think. He fighting this weekend. But on the Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley card, we got Amanda Serrano versus Yamalith Mercado. I don't know who she is, but I know who Amanda Serrano is, and I like Amanda Serrano a lot. You know, so she's gonna be on the undercard of Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley too. It looks like she is a huge favorite. She's a 25 to 1 favorite. She's a 25 to 1 favorite also. So that doesn't look like it should be too competitive by looking at the odds. But what's going to be a competitive fight this weekend is Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. I'm really looking forward to this fight because this is really going to show us. I think this fight is really going to show us what Jake Paul is really made of. I think that Jake Paul can fight. But Tyron Woodley, we know that he's a multi-time MMA champion, right? But Tyron Woodley, the best part of his game was stand-up and wrestling. We know that if Tyron Woodley, when he was in the UFC, if he touched you, you was going to sleep. Now, a lot of people think that Tyron Woodley is punch drunk. You know that Tyron Woodley, he ain't won a fight. I mean, damn. Tyron Woodley then lost his last, 4 or 5 fights in a row in the UFC, right? But he never really was losing stand up, right? He was losing on the ground, getting grounded and pounded, and those guys, you know, out wrestling him and stuff. So Tyron Woodley, he's been working with Floyd Mayweather and Adrian Broner's trainer. You know what I'm saying? GT. He's been working with him. He's been working with the Mayweather camp real heavy. And Tyron Woodley, man, he looked like he ready. He looked like he ready. But we know that Jake Paul, he continues to work. He continued to get better. And Jake Paul looked like he got some real power, because in the UFC, these fighters is boxing with basically damn near bare knuckles. They boxing in 4-ounce gloves, right? He knocking these guys out from the UFC, and these dudes can take a lot of punishment. Like Ben Askren. Ben Askren is used to getting hit with 4-ounce gloves. As soon as Jake Paul touched him, he was sleeping. I ain't gonna talk about what Jake Paul did to my man Nate Robinson, because we know that Nate Robinson, he ain't never been hit before like that. Nate Robinson is a basketball player. But Ben Askren, even though that, like I told y'all when he was gonna fight Ben Askren, I said, yeah, he gonna beat Ben Askren because Ben Askren don't have no stand-up game. But to me, what was, you know, kind of what surprised me is as soon as he touched Ben Askren, you know what I'm saying, he went to sleep. So Jake Paul is showing that, you know, he got some real knockout power, right? That he was showing that shit that, you know, put Nate Robinson in the dirt, it wasn't no fluke. So let's see what he could do to Tyron Woodley, a UFC fighter, a former UFC fighter that actually wants to take boxing serious. Tyron Woodley is talking about that he actually wants to box, like he wants to become a professional fighter. So he's taking this serious, just like my man Jake Paul is taking this serious, right? So it's not a one and done thing for Tyron Woodley. So I'm looking forward to this fight. I want to see who wins this fight, because Tyron Woodley, one thing about Tyron Woodley, he's tough as nails. Tyron Woodley ain't gonna fucking lay out. Like, if you think that Tyron Woodley is gonna do what you see Ben Askren do in the ring against Jake Paul, as soon as he get touched, he gonna go to sleep. That ain't gonna happen with Tyron Woodley. So Jake Paul is really gonna have to go in there. He's gonna have to be in shape to be able to go some rounds. And this fight may go the distance, because I don't see Tyron Woodley just going in there and letting Jake Paul stop him. You know what I'm saying? Tyron Woodley, one thing about Tyron Woodley, he could take an ass whooping. We seen when Tyron Woodley fought Kamaru Usman. If y'all know anything about UFC and you follow the UFC, go back. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch Tyron Woodley versus Kamaru Usman. He took a fucking beating in that fight. And y'all hit my like button. If y'all can't do nothing else to support the channel, make sure that you hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? That's all I ask of you. Hit the like button. But if y'all haven't seen that fight, go back and watch it. Tyron Woodley took a beating, and he could take a punch. So this is going to be a very interesting fight to me. You dig what I'm saying? It's going to be a very interesting fight, because I like Jake Paul. I like Tyron Woodley, but we got to see. You know what I'm saying? Jay Real Live say, isn't Jake Paul a light heavyweight or a cruiserweight? I think Jake Paul, I think his walk around weight is over 200 pounds. But Tyron Woodley's walk around weight when he's walking around is over 200 pounds also. So we're not going to, this is another thing. You're not going to get a huge size discrepancy in this fight. They both going to be the same size on the even playing field. So this is going to be a much different fight for Jake Paul than all the rest of these fights were. And if Jake Paul can beat Tyron Woodley, you got to give him his credit. You're going to have to give him his credit if he can go in there and beat Tyron Woodley, because This ain't like these other fights you've been seeing, right? Because we know that what's his name? Nate Robinson. We know that Nate Robinson probably he looked like he ain't never even been in a street fight himself, right? And then we know Ben Askren was a UFC champion, but Ben Askren never had no stand-up game. So this right here is going to be a real test. Jake Paul knows it's going to be a real test. And to tell you the truth, all of the pressure is on Jake Paul. It's not on Tyron Woodley. You know what I'm saying? Because if Tyron Woodley lose, it's oh well, you know, he ain't this is his first time in a boxing ring. But if Jake Paul lose, that's going to slow his whole momentum down because he really wants to become a professional fighter. The man talking about fighting guys like Canelo Alvarez down the line, which just sounds fucking crazy, but you know. So if he goes in there and loses to Tyron Woodley, all of the buzz that he's getting because of this boxing thing, and he just signed a multi-fight deal with Triller, all that shit is going to go down the drain. It might go down the drain. He go in there and lose to Tyron Woodley. So Jake Paul got a lot of pressure on his back. He got a lot of pressure riding on this shit. Knockout Boxing 86 TV, what's happening with it? Salute. Y'all make sure that y'all go sub to my man Knockout. And my man KG Alexander, what's good with you? He says, what it do? Salute. He says, and y'all hit that like button because it don't cost you nothing. Smash on that like button. You know, they ain't sending my notifications out like they're supposed to. But, you know, it ain't going to stop nothing. YouTube, you know, YouTube been doing me real dirty lately. They ain't been sending out my notifications. On Monday, I did a whole live stream, right? We had 200 and some people in here on Monday. And then YouTube only uploaded 2 minutes and 10 seconds of my live stream. Right? I did a full live stream over an hour and a half, and YouTube only uploaded 2 minutes and 10 seconds of my live stream. So YouTube is playing real dirty. They playing me real dirty. So, you know what I'm saying? The least y'all can do is hit the like button. So yeah, so you know, I'm looking forward to that fight this weekend. Before we move on, let me get y'all picks. DP Rocket says, yeah, I've been getting kicked off lately. You see, DP Rocket said they've been kicking him off the channel for no reason. Like that shit is crazy. It's crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like YouTube is they real dirty. And the thing about YouTube, they do you dirty like that, but they make it impossible for you to get in touch with them. You can't even get in touch with them. There's no way for you to contact them. And so, you know, they know what they be doing. They know what they be doing. So y'all make sure that y'all hit the like button, you know. Let me see. Now, before we get on, 817 Boxing B said he ain't been getting notifications. I know. They don't send out my notifications to, they don't send in because I can check the analytics. They don't send out my notification. They only send out my notifications to like 3% of my subscribers. Shit crazy. They only sending out notifications to like less than 3% of my subscribers. So the only way the rest of the people know that I'm on if they get to scrolling on YouTube and they happen to catch me on. Other than that, they don't know if I'm on or not. But let me, before we move on to the next subject, you know, let me get y'all picks. Do y'all got Tyron Woodley or do you got Jake Paul? Let me know. Put Jake Paul or put Paul or Woodley in the chat. Put Paul or put Woodley in the chat. Dr. Hook says Woodley's best attribute as an MMA fighter was wrestling, but still Jake's toughest competition yet, unless something has changed, he has terrible cardio. Well, Woodley, in the beginning, his best attribute was wrestling, but he started getting beat by other fighters' wrestling game, right? But Woodley, he has vicious knockouts. So he's been working on his stand-up game for a long time. So I would say in the beginning, his best attribute was wrestling. But as his career went on, Woodley's best attribute became his hand and his hands and his stand-up game. Uh, 817 Boxing B said he got Tyron Woodley. Arturo Shotty said he got Jake Paul. Alexander Gallant says he got Woodley. I see this fight going to the scorecards, y'all. I really see this fight going to the scorecards. Dr. Hook said he got Jake Paul. And the thing is, right, you got to think, if the fight goes to the scorecards, who wins? Because we know that Tyron Woodley, we know that Jake Paul got a lot more riding. Jake Paul just signed a contract with Triller. So if the fight is any type of close fight and it go to the scorecards, y'all think they're going to get this fight to Tyron Woodley? Or would they rob Tyron Woodley and give it to Jake Paul? Because Jake Paul is going to generate way more money for Triller than Tyron Woodley will. That's one thing y'all got to think about. I don't see a knockout in this fight. Knockout Boxer 86 says, more interested in the undercard. However, I'll pick this one because I ain't doing no damn video on this shit. Jake Paul will win. They ain't paid all that money for him to lose his first fight. And you might have a point. But I am interested in the fight, Knockout Boxer 86 TV, because, it's a solid fight for Jake Paul. We got to take it for what it is. T-Bibbs 100, what's happening with it? What's good with it? Chris Mitchell said he got Woodley. See, my man Chris, he's an MMA. You know what I'm saying? He an MMA guy. So he going to roll with his MMA guy. I like Woodley, man. I fuck with Woodley heavy. Woodley was always one of my favorite fighters, you know. He from St. Louis, where my man Money Brown from, right there in the hometown of Money Brown. So, David McCarthy. But I just see I'm going to have to go with Jake Paul. I'm going to have to go with Jake Paul by decision. David McCarthy says, Jake got top boxing coaches. Tyron got MMA striking dudes, coaching scorecards. Nah, actually, Tyron Woodley got top boxing trainers. He got GT. He got GT the Great training him. And that's the same trainer that trained Adrian Broner for his last fight. It's the same trainer that also trained Floyd Mayweather for his last fight. So GT he's a solid trainer. He trained a lot of fighters. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just hearing about GT right now, but he trains a lot of fighters. So, and a lot of fighters been going to GT for training. So, he got Tyron Woodley is in the real boxing camp. He getting trained by real solid boxing trainers. 817 say, Tyron Woodley, my guy, he be trying to rap. Yeah, his rap, he can't rap. I tell you that. Tyron Woodley, one thing, he can fight, but he can't rap. He needs to hang that shit up. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be a solid fight. And like I said earlier, right? Let's move on. Malik Scott, I had mentioned it earlier. Malik Scott, right? He came out and he says that Deontay Wilder right now will basically beat the shit out of the Deontay Wilder before. He'll stop him in about 2 rounds. What y'all think about that? To me, that's a bold statement, but it shows you how dangerous Wilder is right now at this moment. Imagine that. He's saying that the Wilder before that was knocking out everything will knock out the Wilder right now will knock that Wilder out in about 2 rounds. That's scary. And y'all hit my like button. You know what I'm saying? Hit my like button if you ain't hit the like button yet. Wendell Jackson, salute. David McCarthy, salute. That's crazy. So that's showing you how much Wilder has elevated his game over the last year and a half he's been training. gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly, y'all. Um, because Tyson Fury, we seen his best. Tyson Fury, he don't really have no room for improvement. He's not gonna get no better than what you seen. We've seen Tyson Fury at his very best. Now, Wilder, that's letting you know that we've never seen Wilder at his very best. It's scary to think about it. Um, Knockout Boxing 86 TV says if he got that better this fast, that is a huge indictment on Breland. Well, the thing is Mark Breland, he told y'all, he basically told y'all out of his own words that he wasn't shit as a trainer for Wilder. Because if you go back and listen to what Mark Breland was saying when he did that interview with them dudes over in the UK, he basically told you out of his own words that he wasn't shit as a trainer for Wilder. Oh, Wilder wouldn't do this and he wouldn't do that and he wouldn't jump rope and he wouldn't even hit the heavy bag and this. Like, so you've been training this man and all this time and you're his head trainer and you're saying that he's not doing none of this shit, right? And you letting him get away with not doing any of this stuff? Well, what does that make you look like as a trainer? And you continue to train this man over and over. So but we know that was a lie because we seen Wilder jump roping, we seen him hit the heavy bag and everything else, right? But the thing is that whether he was doing it to your, as much as you wanted him to do, or he was slacking off, whatever it was, I don't know. I wasn't in their training camp, right? But whatever it was, that lets you know that if you come out and say some shit like that, and you was cool with it, and you continue to train him, that lets you know that you weren't really invested in him as a fighter and as a real person. You was just trying to get a bag. So you was just going through the motions, right? And if you're not emotionally invested into your fighter, you're just going through the motions to get a bag. Well, of course, your fighter is not given. He's not going to be able to get all he can out of his training, right? He's not going to continue to be able to learn and to build on his career because he don't have no coach that's going to push him. No coach that's going to make him do certain things, right? You just cool with getting the bag and let him do what he want to do. That's what you were saying. You said that, right? In so many words, that's what you were saying, Mark Breland. So yeah, Mark Breland wasn't shit as a trainer. And I'm not just saying this right now. I said this, I started saying this after the first Tyson Fury and Wilder fight because I saw an interview that Mark Breland did and how he was talking down on Wilder. I said, this dude don't give a fuck about Wilder. I said, and I actually said it on a live. You can go back years ago, and I said that on a live after the first Wilder Fury fight, right? Said this dude don't give a damn about Wilder. I said, Wilder need to hurry up and get him a new trainer. He didn't, but at that point in time, he didn't, but he realized after a while, like, this dude is just around for a bag. He don't have no good intentions. And that's just what it was with Mark Breland. I seen that shit years ago with Mark Breland. You could tell when a fighter talks when a trainer talks about a fighter, and he talks about him in a negative way. This is after the first Tyson Fury and Wilder fight. He did an interview. I don't know. I think it might have been with the Boxing Voice. He did an interview. And while everybody else was saying that everybody else on Wilder's side that really watched the fight, that wouldn't just know Wilder hated, when everybody else was saying that they thought that Wilder should have won the fight, you know what I'm saying, with the 2 knockdowns, and Wilder had won the first 3-4 rounds, right? Mark Breland was like, well, I didn't like how he was doing this, and he was just real negative about it. At that point in time, I knew And you could just tell just by his whole aura when he was talking about Wilder, right? You could just tell by the look on his face. Nah. So if a trainer is not invested into a fighter as a human being, emotionally, and as a trainer, all of that, you're just going through the motions. How can a fighter continue to improve? How? Let me know how a fight he can't continue to improve. After a while, he's gonna just get complacent on the things that he already knows how to do. And that's just kind of what was happening with Wilder. You dig what I'm saying? He kind of got complacent on certain things. When Malik Scott came in, Malik Scott said, let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to the beginning, to when you was boxing and you was knocking out dudes, setting it up, and you was boxing beautifully. You was moving, using your footwork, your athleticism. Let's go back to the roots. Let's get back to that. And that's what they did. And so, yeah, So, of course, yeah, he's gotten better over the last year and a half. A lot better. Because it ain't like he didn't know how to do those things. It's just that he needed to brush up on those things, right? Ain't like he never learned how to do those things. I mean, the man is an Olympic bronze medalist. Of course, he know how to, but let's work. You know what I'm saying? Let's get those things back in your arsenal. Repetition is the key. So knockout boxing, what you say, what you say, I agree with you, but at the same time, you got to understand that he already knew how to do these things. He just wasn't doing them because he didn't have a trainer to make sure that he was doing these things, right? He had a trainer that wasn't invested in him. He was invested in the bag that he was making off of Deontay Wilder. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Of course. So when Malik Scott says that the Wilder right now will probably stop the Wilder before in about 2 rounds, I can dig it. I believe it. Because he's just telling you that he's that much better. And that's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Look, let's make it look at that. So let's go to, let me give you a big example, right? Look at Mike Tyson when he had custom model. Look at the things that Mike Tyson used to do when he had custom model. Mike Tyson would weave all the way to the ground, right? Weave all the way to the ground, come up and hit you with like 3 hooks and then step to the side, throw another hook, slide back. He was doing all type of different shit when he had custom model. But after custom model passed, if you seen, Tyson slowly stopped doing those things. He slowly stopped doing those things. And then Tyson started getting beat by fighters that that Tyson wouldn't have a problem just running through back when he had custom model. He started getting beat by fighters that he shouldn't have been getting beat by. You know why? Because his trainers, right, he started training different. He didn't have custom model with his training. He didn't have custom model, right, doing those repetitions with him over and over and over, making sure that he was doing these certain things. So it's not that Mike Tyson couldn't do those things, right? It's not that he didn't have that in his arsenal, that he didn't know how to do those things. It's just because whoever was training him wasn't having him do those things, right? So if he had got a trainer that was just like custom model to implement those same things that he was doing before when Teddy Atlas and custom model was training him, we would have seen the same Mike Tyson. But we seen a Mike Tyson that wasn't doing those same things anymore. So, of course, Wilder can go back to the basics and start doing the things that he was doing from the very beginning. That's what y'all need to understand. So when you think it's crazy, when Malik Scott say these things, it's not crazy because he's just doing things that he already knew how to do that he had stopped doing. You see what I'm saying? DP Rocket says, I like Kevin Rooney. Yeah, man, when Mike Tyson had Teddy Atlas, Kevin Rooney, and Custom Model training him, it was a whole different Tyson. But with that being said, and I know this kind of goes off a subject a lot of people say, oh, Mike Tyson was this and he was better than Holyfield, he was this and that. No, he wasn't. Because the simple fact is that Mike Tyson had a very, very short prime. Mike Tyson's prime was probably from 1987 to 89. These other guys had years and years in their prime. So you can't really compare that. Yeah, his prime was too short to put him over Holyfield. Even and when he fought Holyfield, a lot of people say, oh, well, it wasn't the same Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson wasn't the same. Holyfield was older than Tyson, and Holyfield was damn near washed up when he beat Mike Tyson. Holyfield was washed up. Go back and look at the fighters that Holyfield had lost to in the fights that Holyfield had right before he fought Mike Tyson. That's why Holyfield was like a 40-1 underdog when he went in there against Mike Tyson. He just had Mike Tyson's number. But you know that's a whole different discussion in itself. 50 and no TBE TMT Money Mayweather salute. I appreciate that. J.A. Dixon, what's happening with it? But so yeah, it's going when you see Deontay Wilder in the ring on October 9th with Tyson Fury, you're going to see a whole different Wilder. Don't think you're going to see the same Deontay Wilder in the ring, right, that you saw a year and a half ago, you know, back in February of 2020. It's not going to be the same man in the ring. So, and y'all hit my like button. If you haven't hit the like button, make sure that y'all smash on my like button. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that y'all smash on the like button. Do me that favor. Smash on the like button. And if you want to donate to the channel, you know, you can donate to the Cash App right there scrolling across the screen. And let's continue to cook. Knockout Boxing say love Tyson, but Holyfield was better and it wasn't close. And this is the thing, right? This is my thing, right? In 1991, I believe it was in 91, and I wish I could. And my dad, if I call my pops on the phone right now, he'll tell you I'm not lying, right? Because I was a huge Tyson fan. I think I might have cried when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, right? But I was a huge Evander Holyfield fan. And as a kid in 91, when Mike Tyson and Holyfield was supposed to fight each other, I was the only one running around as a kid because we used to have fight parties and all of that, and all my dad's partners, and you know what I'm saying, they was big into boxing, huge into boxing. We either would have fight parties at my house or we would have them at my dad's partner's house, right? And I would always go with my pops to the fight parties and all of that, right? And I was running around telling everybody, Holyfield is going to beat Mike Tyson. Holyfield is better than Mike Tyson. This is in 91 I was saying this. I was telling everybody Holyfield is going to beat Mike Tyson. Fast forward to 1996 when they fought. And I always say that I wish that I was old enough in 1996 to go to Vegas and place bets, because I probably still would have been spending money right now from 1996, because when 1996 came, everybody thought that Holyfield was washed up. He didn't look good in his fights before before he fought Tyson, right? He was fighting guys like Chez, the white dude. Like he was fighting dudes. What's his name? Chez, the dude that came up from cruiserweight, and he was fighting Bobby Chez, I think his name. He was fighting dudes, struggling with dudes like that, right? Holyfield looked like he was washed up before he fought Tyson. But I told everybody, I said, Holyfield is going to beat Mike Tyson. In 96, I told everybody, Holyfield is going to beat Mike Tyson. I said, Holyfield is going to beat him. I said, he's better than Mike Tyson. And I'm still mad to this day. I wasn't old enough to bet on that fight. But yeah, I was the only one that was saying that Holyfield was going to beat Mike Tyson. I remember I was in high school at that time, and everybody was laughing at me because I was picking Holyfield to beat Mike Tyson. And we know what happened in 1996, June of 19. I remember what happened. So yeah. But anyway, let's move along. You know, I took y'all down memory lane a little bit. Let's move along. Wendell said, hell yeah, he was 13. Yeah, I was in high school, so I was a little older than that then. But hey, man, yeah, I'll never forget that night. I watched that fight. Me and my pops watched. It was just me and my pops watching that fight that night, man. And I never forget that fight, man. I was so excited because I told y'all. I told my pops was surprised, and he said, damn. He said, you've been saying that ever since you was a little kid. He said, you've been saying that. You was the only one. Yeah, DP, you an old ass nigga. DP an old head now. DP said he was 22. Yeah, see, DP an old head. See, I was just a teenager. DP was already a grown man. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. But yeah. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about the situation with Gervonta Tank Davis and Keith Thurman. We all seen, and most of y'all seen, that Gervonta Tank Davis, well, we seen Keith Thurman go off on Leonard Ellerbe, really. You know what I'm saying? We seen Keith Thurman go off on Leonard Ellerbe. And he told Leonard Ellerbe, like, look, man, stop trying to throw Gervonta Tank Davis out there in the fire where he don't want to be. And I told y'all several times that Leonard Ellerbe was just doing this to basically, he's piggybacking off of Keith Thurman's name, right? To keep Gervonta Tank Davis's name out there in the mix, right? Because ain't nobody really talking about Tank Davis right now. And it's not because Tank Davis don't have a big name. It's not none of that. It's just he fought, and now we know that he's not going to be fighting for a minute, and we know that it's other fighters that we need, that we're looking for, and other fights that we're looking for to happen in. So Keith Thurman, he feels some type of way about that. Why are you using my name? Why are you using my name and linking it with Tank Davis, disrespecting me? Because you got to look at this, right? Keith Thurman feels disrespected, right? You want to use my name out of everybody to say that this little man that's really a 130-pound fighter or 135-pound fighter is going to move up right off the rip and fight me when you know it's not going to happen, right? You going out, you running out here in the media, on Twitter, on social media, and you using my name saying, oh yeah, we'll make that fight in a heartbeat. What's up? We'll knock out Keith Thurman. But Keith Thurman is letting y'all know, just like I told y'all. And I know a lot of people don't fuck with Keith Thurman because he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But I felt him on this, right? Because you running with Keith Thurman's name in the media, but Keith Thurman is letting y'all know, like, you talking all this shit, but you haven't, we're on the same side, essentially, right? We on the same side, right? We all deal with Al Heyman. You talking all this shit, but you haven't said nothing to Al Heyman about me, right? You talking in the media, but you ain't came to me and said nothing, and you haven't said nothing to Al Heyman. And you essentially, you're putting words in Tank Davis's mouth because Tank Davis haven't said nothing about me. If y'all notice, Tank Davis has not mentioned Keith Thurman's name. The only thing Tank Davis came out and said is he said, wow, y'all think, you know what I'm saying? Basically, y'all think I'm fucking Godzilla or somebody. letting y'all know that, hey, don't put me with Keith Thurman. But Keith Thurman was also very respectful towards Tank Davis. He was like, I like Tank Davis. Tank Davis is a hell of a fighter. But don't try to use my name and link it up with, because if you really want that smoke, call me and we can make that shit happen. Like, not right now, but right now. Right? But see, one thing that it really does, this does a lot for Keith Thurman also, because before Leonard Ellerbe came out and said, it's silly shit. And the reason Leonard Ellerbe linking Keith Thurman to Tank Davis to me is silly shit is because if you really know boxing and you follow how Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather and them move, we know that it's just they're using this shit for clout. We know that Leonard Ellerbe would not put Tank Davis in the ring with Keith Thurman. And like Keith Thurman told y'all, if he was really serious about this, putting Keith Thurman in the ring with Gervonta Davis, well, he would have been contacted Keith Thurman, or he would have been contacted my man Al Heyman, and they would have contacted Keith Thurman. This shit would have been in works if it was serious. And if it was serious, Gervonta Tank Davis wouldn't have came out and made the statement like, damn, y'all trying to, you know what I'm saying? Y'all think I'm Godzilla or somebody, basically. You know what I'm saying? Y'all think I'm King Kong. That's letting you know that Tank Davis ain't with that shit. We know how Tank Davis moves. If Tank Davis feels some type of way, he gonna go to Twitter and let y'all know, like, hey, I'll beat the shit out of Keith Thurman. So when you hear these things said, Leonard Ellerbe is saying these things. Tank Davis ain't saying none of this shit. But it is a good thing for Keith Thurman also. So Keith Thurman ought to look at this, right? Instead of getting pissed off. And I feel how he would feel disrespected right off the bat, right? But he got to look at it as a good thing. Like, look, y'all keeping my name out here. Because before this, nobody was talking about Keith Thurman. Because it's like, who is Keith Thurman going to fight next? That's what we really need to be concerned. That's what he needs to be concerned about. Because if you hear Keith Thurman, he don't even know who he going to fight next. Keith Thurman don't know if he going to take a tune-up. He don't know if he going to take a tough fight. He don't know what he going to do. It's a big question mark behind Keith Thurman's name. A lot of people don't even know if Keith Thurman is retired or not. I didn't have people ask me, is Keith Thurman, is he still a fighter? Is he still active? I thought he was retired. Dripping Soft, salute. Wendell Jackson, salute. So a lot of people don't even know what Keith Thurman is doing. So Leonard Ellerbe linking Keith Thurman's name, right? You can look at it as disrespectful. I'm sorry, Leonard Ellerbe linking Keith Thurman's name with Gervonta Tank Davis. You can kind of look at it as disrespectful in a way. And you could actually look at it as a good thing in another way. Because you know he capping. You know that motherfucking Leonard Ellerbe ain't telling the truth. Right? You know that he's full of shit. If you don't know, I'm here to tell you that he's full of shit. Right? Because and y'all got to start putting more respect on Keith Thurman's name. Because I see a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, Tank Davis will beat the shit out of Keith Thurman. Tank Davis will beat the... Come on, man. And I start to question a lot of y'all boxing knowledge. And what I really question is that if you just don't like Keith Thurman that much to where you just like, yeah, he'll beat the shit. He'll get the shit beat out of him by Tank, right? Or if you just really don't know boxing like that. Because if you really think that, check this out. If you really think that, you got to go back and think. Tank Davis, he had problems with Leo Santa Cruz. Do you think that you can put Leo Santa Cruz in the ring with Keith Thurman and Leo Santa Cruz will cause Keith Thurman any type of problems? Like, come on, keep it 100. Be real with yourself. You ain't got to be real with me. Be real with yourself. Do you think if they put Leo Santa Cruz in the ring with Keith Thurman, that Keith Thurman will have any type of problems with Leo Santa Cruz. And then ask yourself, do you think that Mario Barrios can cause Keith Thurman any type of problems? Because those are the last two opponents that was in the ring with Gervonta Tank Davis, and both of those opponents caused Tank Davis a lot of problems in the fight. Both of those opponents caused Tank Davis a lot of problems. So you think he could go from them to Keith Thurman? Come on now, stop. Cut out the bullshit. It ain't no fucking way that Keith Thurman is going to get in the ring and lose to Gervonta Tank Davis, moving up from 135 or 130 pounds, right, all the way up to 147. Y'all got to be out of your goddamn rabbit-ass minds to think that. And you know that I fuck with some of y'all, right? You know that I fuck with y'all, right? But come on now. Y'all got to ask yourself these questions. Y'all got to ask yourself these questions. And stop. Stop with the, come on. We all on here. If we on here, most of us are supposed to be diehard boxing fans. Most of y'all got to be that. Most of y'all know boxing. That's what I'm saying. A lot of y'all, like my brother DP Rocker. DP Rocker know boxing. But come on, DP, you got to stop saying that Gervonta Tank Davis will whoop Keith Thurman. And you say, do I think that Keith Thurman got his hunger back? I don't think Keith Thurman will ever be as hungry as he was before he got married and when he was that, you know what I'm saying, don't duck me son. When he was that don't duck me son, Keith Thurman. I don't ever think that because he got too much of things going on, right? Things in your life change, right? I know for a fact. At one time, I would go to the gym and fucking train for 3 hours every day. But now I got different things in my life. Shit's changed. So, you know, that hunger ain't there. I still train. But not like I did at one point in time. And I want that hunger back to be able to train like I did at one point in time. Where I would go train in the gym and then go go to the boxing gym and train for hours. I wish I had that hunger. But it's certain things that's in my life, like kids and babies and all of that, where I don't have the time. So with Keith Thurman, yeah, now he got different things in his life, so I don't think the hunger is there, but I still know boxing enough to know that Keith Thurman, if he got in the ring with Tank Davis, that Tank Davis can't beat Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? If Tank Davis is having problems with Leo Santa Cruz's and Mario Barrios, who was ranked 12th in the 140-pound division, see, that's what y'all not talking about. Mario Barrios was ranked number 12 in that division. So if you're having problems with those guys, what makes me think that Tank Davis is going to get in the ring and beat the shit out of Keith Thurman? It's not going to happen. So yeah, I feel Keith Thurman when he says that, you know, stop disrespecting me. I feel disrespected because these guys that Tank Davis is moving up and fighting, well, they're actually like what he say? Like Leo Santa Cruz came from 119 pounds, right? They're not even like Leo Santa Cruz wasn't even naturally a 130-pound fighter. When you talk about Mario Barrios, right? Well, he is a big 140-pound fighter, but he's not near one of the best at 140. He's not even, that's what y'all got to take. Look at this. Mario Barrios is not even one of the best at 140. I can name a whole lot of fighters at the 140-pound division that could beat Mario Barrios right now. So to move from that to jump all the way up to Keith Thurman, right? Come on now. You got to put some respect, more respect on Keith Thurman's name than that. And Uppercuts Boxing Nation, salute. Y'all make sure that y'all go to Facebook Go to Uppercuts Boxing Nation and subscribe to his group in Facebook. My man KG Alexander says Keith will sleep the fuck out of Tank, little ass. And I like Tank, but KG is telling the truth. Come on now. Come on now. Y'all gotta put more respect on Keith Thurman's name. DP Rocket says, my issue is he be talking crazy outside the ring. The hating on Errol Spence shit had me pissed when we all know he didn't want no parts of Errol Spence. And you are telling the 100% truth, right? You're telling the truth, DP. I feel you. But see, that's my thing. What you said right there, and I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad I'm glad you admitted that. See, that's my thing. I think a lot of people just don't like Keith Thurman, and he rubs them the wrong way. So they just say out of spite, like, yeah, Gervonta Tank Davis will beat the shit out of him. But most people saying that, I don't think that they would be willing to bet on Gervonta Tank Davis knocking out Keith Thurman. So I feel what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? It makes you want to see Gervonta Tank Davis or somebody knock out Keith Thurman by the shit that he be saying. But you got to be realistic and say, okay, I want to see that, but I don't really think that's I mean, anything is possible, right? But come on now. You're not really going to favor Gervonta Tank Davis to go out there and knock out Keith Thurman if that fight were to be made, right? You just gotta put more respect on his name than that. Even though he be talking slick, and you still gotta put respect on his name. Knowledge is key says, so you just basically don't like Tank? Where I don't understand. I don't understand, right? I don't want to call you slow, but you sounded slow right now. How does what I just said translate to I don't like Tank? What you just said translates to me is that you don't know shit about boxing, because how can you get I don't like Tank out of what I just said? I don't understand that. DP Rocker said, I just got caught up. I feel you, man. It's easy. It's easy to get caught up. But you know, me, I used to do that myself, right? I used to get caught up on just because I don't like a person, then I'm just going to say some shit. But I stopped really doing that when I had to catch myself, when I really started, like, a lot of these fights I like to bet on. You know what I'm saying? So when you betting on fights, it's going to bring you to reality. Because then you gotta be real with, when you start betting on these fights, you gotta be real with yourself. Like, damn, I can't just come on here and say some shit that I really don't believe, because if I do that shit and I bet on shit that I don't really believe, you know, you really gonna lose money, and ain't nobody really trying to lose money off of just some shit like that, right? Just like, let me see if I can give y'all an example for me personally, right? Sometimes I get real aggravated with Terrence Crawford and the shit that Terrence Crawford does, right? Even though I like Terrence Crawford, he get me aggravated because he does a lot of shit talking, and he do a lot of unnecessary hating when it comes to Errol Spence. So sometimes, I'm going to keep it 100. Sometimes for a split second, I might say, like, man, I hope motherfucking Kell Brook go out there and knock his fucking dick in the dirt just for the shit that he was talking and the hating that he was doing. But then I got to come to reality, right? And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I'm betting on Terrence Crawford, because that shit that I'm saying, I really don't believe. I really don't believe that Kell Brook or whoever, you know, is going to go out there and fuck up Terrence Crawford. So, you know, sometimes you got to come to reality to yourself. So you know, I mean, come on now. A lot of us don't like Keith Thurman. I understand Keith Thurman, because, see, y'all got to look at this. Yeah, he was ducking Errol Spence. Yeah, Keith Thurman go in the media and say a whole lot of shit. But as fight fans, That's what we want. So we gotta choose what we want, because as fight fans, right, real cry and complain about a fighter like, oh, he don't do enough to promote himself. Like, we want him to say more. We want him to talk more shit, right? We say that about a lot of these fighters. We want him to talk more shit. Like, man, he's too humble. Like, he would be this, he would be this if he would just talk more shit. And then we get fighters like Keith Thurman, and he talk a whole lot of shit. And then we talk about Keith Thurman because he's talking a whole lot of shit. Even if we don't believe a lot of the shit that he's saying, you got to understand what he's doing. He's promoting himself. He's talking shit about another fighter, right? Essentially, what it does is it brings fans to his attention. It gives fans a reaction, because if he's talking about Errol Spence, it gets you pissed off, and you want to hear Keith Thurman, what he's saying about Errol Spence. Then we get to talking about it, or whoever it may be, right? You need if you're a fighter, you need to do things to promote yourself. I don't like a lot of the shit that he be saying, and I'll be like, man, listen to fucking Keith Thurman ass, man. But essentially, I understand why he's doing it. You got to do it. Now it's time for Keith Thurman to talk that shit and to fight somebody and back it up, and to stay off the fucking injury shelf. My man Lee Dre Stevens, salute. He says everybody ducked Spence till they had to fight him. Thurman had the most to lose at the time. And I broke it, and salute to you, Lee Dre Stevens. I actually broke the whole Thurman and Spence situation down, and a lot of people say he ducked Spence, but if you go down the timeline, right, Danny Garcia really ducked Spence for a while until he fought him, like my man Lee Dre Stevens said. And motherfucking Sean Porter was ducking Spence until Sean Porter seen Spence put 50,000 seats in the Cowboy Stadium. He never wanted to fight Spence. Danny Garcia never wanted to fight Spence. They was all ducking him. But if you look at Keith Thurman, right, and I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to pull up Keith Thurman's resume, and we're going to go down the timeline. We're going to go down the timeline, Keith Thurman, because when really people start making the memes of Keith Thurman ducking Errol Spence and all of that, y'all got to remember Keith Thurman was out. He was out with an injury at that point in time, because a lot of people were saying that Keith Thurman was faking his elbow injury, right? A lot of people at that time, oh, he ain't injured, he just ducking Spence. When all of that Spence and Keith Thurman really started to build up, at the time he was injured. Now, if we could go back to 2015, when Floyd Mayweather said, look, Keith Thurman or Sean Porter, whoever won it, I'll give you, because remember, back in 2015, Keith Thurman and Sean Porter was calling out Floyd Mayweather real heavy. They was, you know what I'm saying, because we knew that Floyd Mayweather was coming to an end of his career. They was both calling out Floyd Mayweather real heavy. Errol Spence was a young fighter on the rise. He hadn't got no title shot yet. And Floyd Mayweather called out Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, and he said, look, I'll put my belts on the line, right? All y'all got to, and I'll fight one of y'all. Who want to take the smoke with Errol Spence? All you got to do is one of y'all give the young kid Errol Spence a shot, give a young up-and-coming fighter Errol Spence a shot, because he's been calling all y'all out. Give him a shot, and if you can get past him, then I'll give y'all a fight with me. Both of them turned it down. Keith Thurman and Sean Porter both turned it down. They both didn't want no smoke at all. So they turned down an opportunity with the fight with Floyd Mayweather, the biggest fights of their career, because they didn't want to fight Errol Spence. That was way back in 2015, right? They both turned it down. So we gotta give Keith Thurman the same energy that we gave Sean Porter. Now let's go down to timeline because I've done this before, right? So if you're gonna call him a duck, you gotta call them all a duck at the same time. If you're gonna call him a duck, you're gonna call them all a duck. It wasn't official, Lee Dre Stevenson, but they both refused to take it. It ain't no contract, right? It's no contract there if you say no. They after Floyd Mayweather put that out there, they both came out. Sean Porter said, I got other plans. He ain't on my fucking agenda. Errol Spence ain't on my agenda. Keith Thurman also said, who has he fought? He ain't nobody. I'm not fighting him. Both of them said no. So you can't send a contract if they already telling you no right off the rip. So ain't no contract if I'm already telling you I'm not fighting this dude. So they both turned it down and they missed out because the reason they turned it down, right, is because they knew they couldn't beat that young champion. They knew, the young up-and-coming fighter. He wasn't even a champion yet. This is 2015. So let's go down the timeline, right? This is Keith Thurman's resume. And I'm going to pull it up so y'all can see it. So a lot of people is saying that Keith Thurman was just a pure duck. Well, if he ducked, the rest of them ducked. And when the fight was really, really there to be big, you can't really say that because Keith Thurman was hurt at the time. But I'm gonna show y'all, right? We're gonna pull it up. I'm gonna show y'all. Hold on. So y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. Because see, a lot of people just go off of what other people say instead of doing research themselves, right? A lot of people just go off of what other people say. I'm gonna show y'all right now. I'll break this down for y'all because you know that's what I do. Whether I like you or I don't like you, I like facts. I like facts. So let's start from right there. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to share this screen so y'all can see. Okay, so this is Keith Thurman's resume. So he fought Luis Collazo in 2015, right? 2015 is the year that I'm telling y'all that him and Sean Porter both turned down a young Errol Spence to get a fight with Floyd Mayweather, right? Right after that, you see this, right? Right after that, he didn't remember Keith Thurman had an injury. He didn't come back and fight. Hold on. Damn, hold on, y'all, man. These damn pop-ups keep popping up. So right after that, right, Keith Thurman, he didn't come back until 2016 because he had a neck injury. I think he had gotten a little car accident. They had to postpone the Sean Porter fight. Then he went and fought Sean Porter in 2016. You look at this. Sean Porter in June 25th of 2016, Sean Porter was the WBA. Keith Thurman was the WBA World Welterweight Champion, right? So he fought Sean Porter. Sean Porter, right then, remember, Sean Porter had just lost, not too long before that, he had lost his IBF belt to Kell Brook. Now, let me pull up Errol Spence's resume on my phone at that point in time so we can see what Errol Spence, you know what I'm saying, what he was doing around that point in time. So, could Keith Thurman have fought, could he have fought a young Errol Spence in 2016 and gave him a shot at the WBA welterweight title? Yeah, he could have, right? He could have, right? But he already had told you, along with Sean Porter, around that time, that he wasn't going to fight Errol Spence. Both of them ducked him. So at that time in 2016, let me see. So Sean Porter and Keith Thurman fought. in June of 2016. And then in August of 2016, Errol Spence had fought Leonard Ellerbe, right? Before that, 2 months before Sean Porter and Keith Thurman fought, Errol Spence had fought Chris Algieri, right? So remember, at this time, Errol Spence was still building the name. A lot of the fans, I've been knowing about Errol Spence ever since he came out of the Olympics. But at this time, Errol Spence didn't have a big name in the sport. Remember, he fought Chris Algieri, and then people started noticing Errol Spence because they knew Chris Algieri from fighting Manny Pacquiao. And that was 2 months before Sean Porter and Keith Thurman fought each other for the WBA welterweight title, right? This time, Errol Spence didn't have no title, right? And then Errol Spence, like a month after Sean Porter and Keith Thurman fought, about like a month and a half after Sean Porter and Keith Thurman fought, Errol Spence fought Leonard Bondu. Then people started really taking note to Errol Spence because 4 million people watched Errol Spence and Leonard Bondu because it was right after the Olympics. Then people start really taking note to Errol Spence, right? And right at that time, Errol Spence, right, he became the mandatory for the IBF championship for Kell Brook. Remember, Errol Spence was waiting on Kell Brook. He wasn't in the ranking system for the WBA, the belt that Keith Thurman had that time. He was waiting on Kell Brook because Kell Brook had that IBF title, and Errol Spence went that route to become the mandatory for Kell Brook. Kell Brook was ducking Errol Spence. Remember, Kell Brook, he was supposed to fight Errol Spence before he went off and fought Gennady Golovkin. Errol Spence ended up having to wait 10 months to get that fight with Kell Brook because Kell Brook was doing any and everything he could to wiggle his way out of the fight, right? And then he finally got the fight in 2017, in May of 2017 with Kell Brook, right? Finally got that fight with Kell Brook in May of 2017. Now, look at the timestamp. Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman fought in March of 2017. 2 months before Errol Spence fought, Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman already had fought that March. Danny Garcia was the WBC world champion. You feel what I'm saying? So listen to what I'm saying. So Keith Thurman, you can't say that he ducked Errol Spence at that point in time because Errol Spence still didn't have a belt at that point in time. Errol Spence didn't even get the IBF title until after Keith Thurman went and fought Danny Garcia, right, in March of 2017. Errol Spence didn't become a champion until May of 2017. So you're not going to go fight Errol Spence that don't have no belt and skip over Danny Garcia that has a WBC belt and skip over a chance to become the unified champion, right? A 2-belt champion at 147. So you can't say he ducked him then, right? Now, after the Danny Garcia fight, Keith Thurman was out 2 years. He didn't come back until 2019. And he fought Josecito Lopez. Now, when he came back, he told y'all right off the rip, he said, look, I am not fighting Errol Spence. This is a get back year. He said, I'll fight Errol Spence next year. Right now, it's a get back year. I'm not fighting Errol Spence right now. He told y'all that. Y'all can't act like he didn't tell y'all that. He said, I'm not fighting. I'm not coming right back and fighting Errol Spence. It's a get back year. I need a couple fights under my belt, and then I'll fight Errol Spence. Now, after he fought Josecito Lopez, Manny Pacquiao, he came to the equation. Nobody was going to turn a Manny Pacquiao fight down. Manny Pacquiao was the Manny Pacquiao, he didn't have a belt at that time, but Manny Pacquiao had a name. Just like right now, when Errol Spence was supposed to fight Ugas for Ugas' belt, Errol Spence said, nah, I'm going to fight Manny Pacquiao. everybody been wanting to fight Manny Pacquiao. So it was more money to fight Manny Pacquiao at that time because of his name. So you can't say that he ducked Errol Spence at that time to fight Manny Pacquiao because, hey, everybody wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao, Bud Crawford, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, everybody had been wanting to fight Manny Pacquiao. So he got a chance at Manny Pacquiao. You can't really fault him at that. After that, he still ain't fought. He been out 2 more years, over 2 more years after the Manny Pacquiao fight. So if you really want to be realistic and you want to say, because he told y'all it was a get back year, right? So you can't really expect him to pass up on Manny Pacquiao to fight Errol Spence at that time. So the only really window that was logic for him to go fight Errol Spence, the only really one that made sense, right, is he could have fought Errol Spence, and let me see. He could have defended his title in 2016 against Errol Spence instead of defending it against Sean Porter. But could he really have fought Errol Spence instead of Sean Porter? No, because Sean Porter became the mandatory for the WBA championship. So he had no choice but to fight Sean Porter. So you got to really explain to me when he ducked Errol Spence, because he told y'all coming off an injury, it was a get back year. He wasn't going to fight him until 2020. He said that. This is a fact. So the only time where you can say that he really, really had a legitimate chance to face Errol Spence is back in 2015 when Errol Spence really didn't have a name in the sport yet. When when Floyd Mayweather offered Sean Porter and Keith Thurman that fight, and they both refused to fight Errol Spence back in 2015. But Errol Spence didn't really have a name, so you can't really say that he ducked Keith Thurman like that. You got to keep it real. And I just broke down the whole timeline for y'all, right? I just broke down the whole timeline. So when y'all really, really getting on Keith Thurman's helmet for not fighting Errol Spence, y'all got to look at the timeline. You got to really look at the timeline and keep it real, because and say y'all on Keith Thurman. See, what people do is when Keith Thurman was hurt and they started coming out with them memes and fake elbow injury memes, and that's when people really start getting on Keith Thurman's helmet about ducking Errol Spence. But the real thing is the man was hurt. He was really hurt. And Errol Spence is my favorite fighter. Errol Spence and Wilder, those are my 2 favorite fighters, right? So I'm not no huge Keith Thurman fan, but one thing I do is I like to speak facts. And I don't like to just rush to conclusions just because everybody else is doing it. You know what I'm saying? If everybody else is going one way and I know it ain't right, I'm going to go the opposite way. You dig what I'm saying? I don't jump on nobody's bandwagon. I don't do what everybody else do. So you got to keep it 100. So you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really you want him to go fight Errol Spence when Errol Spence didn't have a name, and skip over fighting Danny Garcia when Danny Garcia was the WBC champion. Errol Spence wasn't even ranked in the WBC or the WBA. Errol Spence went the IBF route. So y'all got to make this shit make sense to me. Y'all really got to make it make sense to me. Don't run with narrative just because everybody else is telling y'all, oh, he's doing this. And he wasn't really, at that point in time, he was doing what all fighters do. He was going after the belts at that point in time. His name, Keith Thurman was a much bigger name than Errol Spence. People didn't really know Errol Spence at that time. So, and then he was hurt. If y'all wanted the man to come off an injury and hop straight in the ring with Errol Spence, then okay. Okay, if that's what you call ducking, but that is, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't ducking. So when he said that it was a get back year, and then he fucked around and got a fight with Manny Pacquiao, you can't fault him for fighting Manny Pacquiao because we just seen Errol Spence do the same shit. He was supposed to fight Ugas and then turned around and fought Pacquiao because of who Pacquiao is. And nobody faulted Errol Spence for fighting Manny Pacquiao. Nobody said, he ducked Ugas, he ducked Ugas. No, we all understood that Manny Pacquiao was a much bigger name. So you got to look at it for what it is. We can't really say if Keith Thurman would have ever ducked Errol Spence because he got an injury. He became injured. So we don't know what that man would have done if he wasn't injured after he fought Danny Garcia. Now, if he had never got that injury and then he refused to fight Errol Spence, when that fight made sense, then we would have been able to say, okay, he ducked. This man is a fraud and he's a duck. But we never got to that point because the motherfucker is like Greg Oden. If y'all don't know who Greg Oden was, he stayed injured. You know what I'm saying? He stayed injured. He been injured ever since the Pacquiao fight. He was injured for 2 years before that. So we can't really, we're assuming. See, that's what we're doing, right? We're assuming that he ducked or that he was going to duck Errol Spence. But if you listen to Keith Thurman's words, I'm going to fight Errol Spence. Not right now. This is a get back year. I'm not fighting Errol Spence now. I'm going to fight him in 2020-ish. He said that. We never got that far. So if Keith Thurman ducked Errol Spence, right? Well, Sean Porter did too. I gave y'all the timeline. Even though Sean Porter ended up fighting Errol Spence, Keith Thurman didn't have that chance to end up fighting Errol Spence because he was hurt. Sean Porter wasn't hurt. So we knew that Sean Porter had ducked Errol Spence before, but Sean Porter was the only difference is Sean Porter, he was able to get that fight down the line because he stayed injury free. That's just what happened with the whole situation. So if anybody is watching this, and I gave y'all the whole background, I gave y'all the timeline, the dates and everything. And if you still gonna run around saying that Keith Thurman ducked Errol Spence, well, you just don't, you just talking crazy. You just don't wanna, you just don't want to speak with facts. You just want to continue to run with a narrative that everybody else is running with, and you don't want to speak facts. Now, if you say that Keith Thurman ducked Errol Spence in 2015, then we can all agree on that. But if you're not saying that he ducked Errol Spence in 2015, well, you're not saying nothing. Straight up. So if you're saying that he ducked, well, clarify and give me the year and the timeline where you're saying he ducked. Because if it's other than 2015, it don't really, it's not true. Kofi African, salute to you. And y'all hit my like button, you know, that's the least y'all do, smash on the like button. I want to see him fight too, but you know, Errol Spence is saying he'll never fight Keith Thurman. And I really don't understand that because I think Errol Spence he got to look at the whole situation. You fought Sean Porter and he was ducking you, really ducking you, right? You fought Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia actually had a chance to fight, you know what I'm saying, Errol Spence. He was never on the shelf for hurt before, you know, Errol Spence's name blew up and Danny Garcia was just out there leeching off of Errol Spence's name because that's what happened. Errol Spence's name blew up. Danny Garcia took some L's and, you know what I'm saying, he wanted to leech off of Errol Spence's name after you done already lost to Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. So come on, man. We got to look at this shit for what it really is. And salute to my man, Batman. Batman in the building. Yes, sir. But so yeah. So that's just what it is. As far as this Manny Pacquiao, let's. I want to cook on this Manny Pacquiao situation. You feel what I'm saying? I want to cook on this Manny Pacquiao situation before we get up out of here. Now, Manny Pacquiao is making a whole lot of excuses because I hear a lot of y'all coming in here talking about, oh wow, y'all, a lot of y'all was saying Wilder this and Wilder, Wilder's making excuses about his legs, right? When Wilder told y'all that he didn't have no legs under him, he was everything in the book. Y'all call him every name in the book, right? Said he was making every excuse in the book. But now Manny Pacquiao, for the second fight that he's lost, right? The second fight that he's lost, back-to-back fights, right? He hasn't lost back-to-back fights, but I'm saying the last two fights that Manny Pacquiao lost, he done came and made excuses for the last two fights. The first fight, he said that his shoulder, you know what I'm saying, that he had his shoulder was torn, that he fought Floyd Mayweather with a torn shoulder. Then all of a sudden, his shoulder was fine because he fucking went swimming in the ocean, right? How outrageous was that shit? Now, Manny Pacquiao comes and he gets clearly beat up by Ugas. Great fight. I think Manny Pacquiao performed well. He just didn't perform well enough to beat Yordenis Ugas on that night, right? But instead of saying that, hey, he was just a better man, Manny Pacquiao is saying that he's blaming it on his legs. His legs went numb. He had problems with his legs. And then he went and said that Yordenis Ugas is one of the easiest fighters that he's ever fought in his whole career. And that the only reason he lost to Ugas is because his legs were not there. His legs weren't there. So Manny Pacquiao has lost, what, 2 fights in, or did he, when was that Jeff Horn? I'm not counting that Jeff Horn fight. Whenever he fought Jeff Horn, I'm not going to count the Jeff Horn fight, right? But since Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, since 2015, he lost to Mayweather and he lost to my man Yordenis Ugas just this past Saturday. Both of them fights, he made just outrageous excuses. Now the only reason he lost, and he really gave Yordenis Ugas no credit at all. Talking about he was the easiest opponent. He was a one-dimensional opponent. He was doing one thing the whole night. And, if his legs had been there, he wouldn't have lost to Yordenis Ugas. It was just because of his legs, right? His legs went numb. Something happened with his legs. Then he says that, all of my training and the training that I did, I didn't have enough time to recover my legs. My legs didn't have enough time to recover from all the training that I did. Now, what are you talking about? You didn't have enough time for your legs to recover for all the training that you did. Now, you've been fighting for damn near 30 years, maybe more than 30 years, right? You've been a professional fighter, been in and out of training camps. Now, all of a sudden that you lose a fight, you don't know how much time you need for recovery. But the same ones that was getting on Wilder saying that, his legs felt weak, as soon as he got in the ring, y'all are the same ones that's quiet about Manny Pacquiao making excuses. And the thing with Wilder had never made no excuse in the fight. We had seen Wilder fight with a torn bicep, 4th-degree burns on his arm, never made no excuse. First time that Wilder comes out and gives a reason why he thinks, gives y'all a reason why he looked the way he did, Y'all get on Wilder's helmet and fucking crucify that man. But then you get quiet as a church mouse when Manny Pacquiao makes an excuse another time, right? And obviously, we see that Manny Pacquiao is just a sore loser. I think highly of Manny Pacquiao as a man, but we can see that Manny Pacquiao is a sore loser. You don't give Yordenis Ugas no credit. You talking about that he one of the easiest fighters that you ever been in the ring with, and it was your legs. Something went wrong with your legs, and your legs, went wrong, got weak, and it was because you didn't have enough recovery time for all the workouts that you was doing in training. Come on now. But y'all not talking about these excuses. We saw the excuse that he made with Floyd Mayweather. So this is a pattern with Manny Pacquiao. When he loses, he's going to make an excuse. I don't know why y'all don't want to admit that. When he loses, he's going to make an excuse. Every time he loses, he make an excuse lately, right? You feel what I'm saying? So this is a pattern of Manny Pacquiao, but y'all ain't talking about this. Where are all the Manny Pacquiao fans? And where are all the Deontay Wilder haters that was making videos and talking about Wilder? Why y'all ain't saying nothing about the excuses that Manny Pacquiao continues to make every time he loses a fight? Right? And then don't want to give the opponent no credit. He didn't want to give Floyd Mayweather no credit at all. He blamed it all on his shoulder. Now he don't want to give Yordenis Ugas no credit at all. He blaming it on his legs. It went from his shoulder to his legs. So check this out, right? Check this out. Manny Pacquiao is now saying that he's thinking about the rematch with Yordenis Ugas. He's thinking about, coming back maybe in January, maybe around that time for a rematch. But he says he got to talk to his wife. So basically, his wife don't want him in the ring. You see the thumbnail. You see his wife having to spoon feed him because Manny Pacquiao, he's fucked up right now. You feel me? He messed up right now. So Manny Pacquiao, first, he's going to have to talk his wife into getting in the ring for a rematch. But I think he says January, that's a quick turnaround with the way that Manny Pacquiao is looking. He would have to fight Yordenis Ugas in January. Now, he says it depends on what his wife say, and it also depends on his obligations to the Senate. He got a lot of work that he got to go back and do, right? He got to get ready to run for presidency, right? He got to get ready to run for presidency, and everything takes place in February. So the only time frame that he has to fight Yordenis Ugas is January. Now, he wants a rematch because he's obviously saying that he thinks that he should have beat Yordenis Ugas. Yordenis Ugas was the easiest opponent that he's been in the run. One of the easiest opponents that he's been in the ring with because he's one-dimensional. He did one thing his whole fight, and it was his legs, right? So, with all that being said, the Manny Pacquiao saying that he only has a very small window where he can come back. And if y'all remember when I said that I wanted Ugas to win because I said Manny Pacquiao might hold up the whole division if he wins because of the obligations he has with the Senate. Now, it's showing you what would have happened if Manny Pacquiao would have won. We probably wouldn't be seeing Manny Pacquiao in the ring against Errol Spence or whoever it is no time soon. He would have put the division on hold, holding that belt because he has too many obligations and he only has a small window where he can fight. Now, realistically, do y'all think that Manny Pacquiao can heal up and go right back into another training camp to fight in January? I don't see that at his age. Manny Pacquiao needs to take long layoffs at this point in age in his life to be able to get in that ring and fight. He already making excuses talking about he didn't have, his legs didn't have time enough to heal for the training that he was put himself through. Come on, bro. I mean, so if your legs didn't have time enough to heal for the training that you put yourself through, what makes you think the next time you get in the fight, your legs are going to have time enough to heal? These is just excuses, but don't nobody want to talk about Manny Pacquiao excuses. Yeah, Manny Pacquiao, when he lost to Jeff Horn, even though I did think he beat Jeff Horn, he was vocal about that shit. He was pissed off at Bob Arum about that shit. That's when he left Bob. He said that they set him up. Manny Pacquiao was very vocal about what happened with when he took that L to Jeff Horn. He said he was set up. He said that Bob Arum and the whole WBO set him up. So come on now. I mean, where do you want to go with this? But I don't really, realistically, I don't see Manny Pacquiao in Ugas in a rematch because I don't see, first of all, I don't see Manny Pacquiao's wife letting him get back in that ring. If Manny Pacquiao said he's going to get back in that ring to fight again, his wife is going to give him hell. And that's something he's going to have to deal with every day in his household. Freddie Roach don't look like he want him back in the ring, right? And also, like I said, he only has a very, very small window to where he can train. And he also said, like, he has to see if he can train and you know, get ready to run for presidency and all of that, because that shit, he got to cut. If come February, he got to be locked in and cut everything off. So I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. You feel me? But, you know, I know he wants a rematch. He wants a rematch because he's a competitor. That's why you hear him make excuses every time he loses, because he's not he's a competitor. He don't know how to lose with dignity. He don't know how to lose and just give his opponent credit for beating him. He's just one of them. He a sore loser. He gonna make an excuse, and he knows that his fan base is gonna run with any excuse that he makes. Oh, well, Manny Pacquiao would have never lost if it wasn't for his legs. He know what his fan base gonna say. He has a history of making excuses. He has a history of making excuses. Deontay Wilder don't. Let that sink in. So who's telling the truth and who ain't? But anyway, you know, y'all hit my like button. I like Manny Pacquiao. I love Manny Pacquiao as a fighter. I love Manny Pacquiao as a person. But at the end of the day, the facts is facts. Manny Pacquiao always makes excuses when he loses. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? He's a sore loser. And for him not to give Yordenis Ugas no type of credit, I think that's a disrespect to Yordenis Ugas, because Yordenis Ugas gave Manny Pacquiao all of the credit in the world. Why y'all ain't talking about that? Why am I the only one that's talking about this? How he's disrespecting Yordenis Ugas and don't want to give that man no credit. Right? Why am I the only one that's talking about how he didn't give Floyd Mayweather no credit for outboxing him? He made every excuse talking about Floyd Mayweather ran, talking about it was his shoulder. Now he do the same thing with Yordenis Ugas, talking about Yordenis Ugas is one of the easiest fighters. Why would you say that? One of the easiest fighters that you've ever been in the ring with. And if it wasn't for your legs, you would have beat Yordenis Ugas easy with no problem. Come on now. But anyway, make sure that y'all hit my like button. I appreciate y'all coming in here rocking with me. I will be back And y'all already know how I do. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button. I appreciate everybody that was in the building today. And I will be back tomorrow. And salute to everybody. Like I said, y'all already know how I do. There you go talking that boxing again. And I'm gone.